Okay. Testing, testing. 3, 2, 1. Hopefully, this thing is picking me up. What's going on, guys? We are back again for another episode here of the Tight Splice Charters podcast. Captain Cody Davis here with you guys as always. I'm not even sure what number episode this is, but I guess I can figure that out when I go to edit it and post it. But we are back again either way. If I sound a little bit congested, that's because I am. Lake started daycare this week, and it only took him 2 days to come home with some kind of sickness, which now me and Breezy both have and are trying to get over, and it is not fun. So, all you parents out there that are watching, you know how this works. This is only the beginning. So, wish us luck through this. I haven't been on the lake in 2 days. I actually canceled yesterday due to weather. There was a small craft advisory. It's just not safe to be out there, nor is it fun. And I'll fish through some pretty nasty stuff, but yesterday was just not looking good at all. So I canceled that. And then this morning, we were having lots of rain and still 25-mile-an-hour winds. And I felt like I got hit by a truck. So my customer today, thankfully, was a local. So we're going to go ahead and reschedule that. So I've been off the lake for 2 days. I really did nothing but lay around and sleep all day today. And I believe I'm going to be out there tomorrow. We'll see. But the reason I wanted to jump on here and film one of these is because the invitationals, the Major League Fishing invitationals, are going to be here this week. So I wanted to give my predictions and just talk about the lake and how it's fishing and what I foresee coming. And the elites are coming literally the week after that. And so I just wanted to talk to you guys about what I think you could expect from Lake Okeechobee, what I think the outcome is going to be, and like I said, what I foresee happening. So yeah, I mean, we'll kind of jump into just kind of how it's been for me on my end. I don't remember the last one of these I did. It's been a little while, but the lake's still been fishing good, but it has been fishing small. So, man, I don't remember the last one of these I did for you guys. So we'll kind of just jump back to like the last couple tournaments I've fished. I think I've fished 3 total tournaments since like my last upload. I think actually I uploaded a video of me, much just kind of like a little highlight reel of me fishing in the ABA. I ended up getting 11th with just under 16 pounds. So that'll kind of tell you how tough the lake's been fishing. But I also fished a bass busters event with a customer / buddy of mine, and we were around the winners, but we only actually landed 4 fish that day. Did not weigh in. Did not bring the camera equipment for that. And then I also fished a King of the Glades event out here. I believe it was the weekend after. And it was the day after the first BFL they were supposed to have out here that they actually canceled due to weather. We fished the King of the Glades. It was still windy, but it wasn't as bad. It was freezing cold. And I only landed 1 fish that day. So kind of shows you how tough it's been for me tournament wise. And real quick, while we're on that subject, I just mentioned, that I only caught 1 fish in King of the Glades. I was fishing by myself. Breezy was going to fish with me, but it was freezing cold and nasty, and she was actually just getting over being sick then. So she decided not to. And again, like I said, she didn't miss anything. I literally caught 1 and had 1 other bite. And what I did with that footage is I just scrapped it. I almost did that with the ABA footage. And then I think there was a day in there where I went practicing and I really didn't do anything with the footage. What I really want to start doing on the channel here, and I kind of made like a little pact to myself, that from this point on, if I go out with intention to film for the day, whether it's a tournament, whether it's just fun fishing, that I really want to make myself make some sort of video with that content that I captured on there. Because it's funny, a lot of my favorite fishing videos, and I watch all different types of channels on fishing and different videos and things, are some of the best ones I watch are when the people actually don't catch anything. Like I said, I always just like watching the process and and what it goes through. One of my favorite uh, docu series or fishing series that most of you have probably never ever heard of is it's like a low budget, just rough cut video series called Hook Shots. And my buddy Joe Cermelli, a lot of you might know his name. He worked for Meat Eater for a while. He was the main fishing editor for Field and Stream for years, and that's what this Hook Shots series was based under. Was under the Field and Stream brand, and I think he ran it for like 10 years. And I mean, it's just literally him and a buddy traveling with different guides, shooting on a handy cam and a GoPro, and it just comes out great. And there's some episodes in there where they do not reach their target or meet their goals. They don't even catch a fish, but it's just thrown together very well. Same thing like a lot of these vlog series uh, that you watch that all these bass pros are doing now, where they give you them leaving their house, driving to the event, getting in their house that they rented or their RV, getting set up, what they're doing in practice. And that's what's entertaining to me. That's how I think you learn. And I need to start doing a better job at just posting it and really, it's very easy to talk to the camera and stuff when you get out there and you make 10 casts, and two of those 10 casts you caught a 5 and a 6 pounder, and the day's starting out great and you're in a good mood. But I really need to start the videoing process and the vlogging process from the time I wake up, and really just do a good job at talking to the camera as far as what I'm looking at on the water, what I'm looking for, what my plans are. And even at the end of the day, if I have really nothing to show for it, still go back, cut that footage, and post it to you guys. Because, I mean, some of you might not like it, but that's part of the game, right? I mean, we're going to have a lot more slow days than we have banner days in this sport. So I'm really going to try and do a better job at, if I go out, I'm going to try and my best to post a video from that day. It's going to be harder to not only edit, it's going to be, but for the fact that it's going to be boring sometimes, but there's nothing too exciting happening. But I'm going to make myself do it. So, and the big reason for that too is, man, like I get a lot of people, and I'm very fortunate that want to come down and fish with me, and they want to fish this amazing body of water that I get to fish every day. That is, Lake Okeechobee. And I get people from all over the country and that have just dreamed about fishing down here or look forward to it so much, and they should. But I think a lot of people, like, here's the deal, right? Like, I get people from all over, and they talk about, like, man, you have to come up and fish smallmouth with me on X Lake, or you need to, if you ever been to Canada, you need to go fish in Canada for these pike, and the fishing's just phenomenal. And they name all these different fisheries, but what people need to understand is those fisheries are hot. They're on fire when you go, and it's super fun and it's great, and you catch all these big fish, and it is. It's awesome. But a big reason for that is because 6 months out of the year, no one's fishing those bodies of water. No one's fishing for those fish. The lakes are either frozen over, they're ice fishing for them, or the fish are just really shut down, and then it warms up, and then they're putting the feed bag on. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think like a lot of these people think Lake Okeechobee is like that 24/7, and in a way it is. Like our fish have a 365 growing period here. They're constantly growing, they're constantly feeding. Even when it gets freezing cold, it's only freezing cold down here for 2 or 3 days. And and I'm going to get hate for this, but that is one of the reasons why I think Lake Okeechobee is one of the best lakes in the country. Is it what it used to be? No. But there's legitimately, and I know you could say this about a lot of lakes, but there is a legit chance that you're going to catch a 30-pound bag on this lake every single day. No matter, I mean, that Bass Busters event I fished with my buddy Garrett, and he's kind of new to the lake, and I was kind of just showing him kind of how I approach a tournament and stuff. It was one of those things where it's like the conditions were good that day. I will say that. I mean, it was fishy conditions. The water temps were still a little bit low, but it was fishy out. but we were still fishing in a parking lot with people. I mean, just we could walk in each other's boats. And excuse me, got a hangnail. But like I said, um, we only had 4 fish. So, and this is just me backpedaling here, but made a run, fished an area that was also a parking lot. Had a big one under my frog at one point, didn't eat, and I got into what I call a bad rotation, where boat pressure typically doesn't bother me on this lake. I just tell myself I got to outfish them, but it's like playing chess sometimes. Like there's there's a couple spots within the spots, and you want to let them breathe, but there's times where your juice is never being able to let breathe because there's constantly a boat on it, and you're not you're not fishing efficiently. You're literally like you're almost getting boxed in or boxed out. And I could have 60 boats around me, but as long as no one's infracting or inflicting, I don't know if that's even the right word. My brain's not working right now. And how I move around on the water, no one's getting in my way, for say, I'll fish just fine. But when I'm going through my rotation and I'm having to change my course because of a boat sitting here, it's limiting what you can fish and how you're fishing. So that's kind of what happened. So we left one parking lot and ran to another one. But this one was a little more open. And my second cast, I caught a 6-2 on a spook. And I was like, all right, here we go. And then it just kind of, again, we kind of got in a bad rotation again, but we didn't. It was just one of those things where you had to be where they were when they decided to bite. And we only had 4 fish. We ended up throwing them back. And I remember, me telling Garrett made a comment like, and it was just a tough day. And it's like, man, that's what people don't get. And that's why I think tournament fishing is so helpful for learning as an angler, is because let's just say we weren't in a tournament that day. Yeah, we went out and burned a bunch of fuel, and we only had 4 fish to show for it. But hey, I'm kind of in the middle of something right now. Can we play later? All right, go lay down. Go lay down. Good boy. Um, and you just tell yourself, man, it was just a slow day. I'm surprised they didn't bite. And you just put it on the trailer and go home. But instead, here we had to check in. So you go into the weigh-in, and Alan and Andy had over 33 pounds, and we watched them. They were around us all day. My buddy Alex Tarasenko had 30 pounds. He only weighed in 25 because his 7-pounder jumped out of the bag. He only weighed in 4 fish. There was like a 24, 20. I mean, the weights were crazy. And it's really a reality check real quick that, like, you, meaning me, us, didn't make the right decisions that day. I mean, someone's always going to catch them on this lake. And then the next day, there was a 29-pound bag that won a tournament, and then there was 27, 26, 25. And here's the deal. Like, everyone's saying, like, and I'm one of them. It's like, man, the lake's fishing so small right now. And you're being Matt talking about these parking lots. But it is. But at the same time, it's always like that. Like, very rarely is like, can you win the tournament all over the lake right now? The difference is not everyone knows that. So it will spread more people out, and more people will try to win or find winning fish kind of off the beaten path. But very rarely does that happen. It fishes small no matter what, but it's fishing extra small right now. But the fish are still here. Now, are they pressured, and are they more weary, and do they shut down easier? Absolutely. And I think they have been, but it's just coming down to like presentation, um, and boat control, and getting in a good rotation, like I was talking about, to do well. And I really haven't been doing that well in tournaments. So, going back to that ABA, all I did was put the fish clips up, but roll into the area, parking lot of an area, roll in there, catch one, catch a six, whatever it was, 5.5, 6 pounder. That's my second bite. Feeling good, let it go. Very next cast, catch one on a spook. Not a big one, but I'm like, all right, it's just what it's coming down to right now is if you're around the fish, you're around them. You almost just have to get lucky, um, and get your bites be the big bites. That tournament, 28.5 pounds won it, and that kid who won the ABA was the distance of this living room from me all day. He just got the big bites. My buddy Nick Hoyning, he got second with 27 pounds, and he never saw a boat. So that's, he's on a special deal there wherever he might be. And that's awesome. But that's what I'm saying. Like right there, like, yes, the lake's fishing small, but people are also really bad about they just want to catch fish. So me, I'm very fortunate. I'm on this lake every single day. So there's days where I'll say, you know what? I know there's fish here, here, and here. I know I can go here and catch them, but I want to fish something different. I want to try and find something different. And I'll just go run water that no one's fishing. And if I don't catch anything, that's fine because I know tomorrow I'll be guiding or I'll be on the fish again because I can fish so much, which is great and helps me. And like I said, I've been doing some trying to video on it, but if I don't catch anything, like I don't get upset about it, but I still just kind of scrap the video where I really need to kind of sit down and edit that because I think there's a lot to take away from those days just as much as there are the days where you do very well and catch them. Um, so yeah, my guide trips, man, I just got off the phone with a guy I've got in 2 weeks. He was asking what he needed to have tied on when he's down here. I really hope that this microphone is picking this up. What he needs to have tied on here in with a couple weeks when he comes. I'm like, man, it's different every day. I had a husband and wife from Lake Murray a couple weeks ago, and Lake I think it's a blueback herring lake, and they're like, you think we can catch them on top water? And it just man, they showed up and it was literally like overcast, east wind, blowing warm air. It was fishy, and they knocked their lights out on top water. I mean, biggins, big fish. Any of you that follow me on social media probably saw the pictures. It was a blast to watch. Um, and then like literally the next day after they left, I think I went fishing with Kelly to practice for that ABA. And the conditions changed slightly, but not very much. And I could not buy a bite on a topwater. Could not buy it. I mean, I threw it, and then they want something else, and then it's like they're eating this in the morning, and then it completely turns off, and they won't touch it. And um, I had a day the other day too, where I found this thing of grass, and I told my customer, I'm like, we're going to get bit in here. And you guys know I'm not a big color guy, but my buddy Matt Weeda, who was on, he does swear that sometimes the color, and when it comes to a frog, the color of the frog makes a big difference. And I agree with him, but I still don't try to think of that. Try to keep it as simple as possible. But here was a day where, I mean, I milked this patch of grass with a killer gill popping frog because it just was set up perfect. And my customer was throwing a wacky rig just kind of around some sparse cover, catching some small males. And he said, man, I can't take it. I got to throw my frog through there. Now, here's 15 minutes of me milking this grass flat without a bite, not a boil, nothing. And he throws a brown popping frog out there, and he gets 5 bites and like 15 casts. And they were good fish. So, I don't even remember where I was going with that. My brain's not working. But, like, that's how I feel like it's almost like it's man, like with the baits, like your bait selection is key right now, where I typically don't think it makes as big of a difference, but at the same time, sometimes it like so the one area I've been fishing, I'm convinced it does not like there's like 5 key baits people have been using in this area, but I don't think one works particularly better than the other one. It's like this guy had 27 pounds in a tournament, and I know what he was throwing, but the guy who won it was throwing the complete opposite. But what it comes down to is everyone's catching big fish on all different types of things. Um, I think it's just presentation and getting that reaction strike and getting lucky for these big fish right now. Um, so it's been tough for me as far as guiding. Because and here's what I was getting to, where this whole thing started, is going back to the fishery. So, like I said, there's all these great fisheries around the world, and Lake Okeechobee is one of them. But you can come down here. You always have a chance at having a 30-pound day. And you have a chance catching a 10-pounder, obviously, also. But I think what makes Okeechobee special, like there's other lakes like Lake Toho and the Kissimmee Chain and things where 10-pounders are caught more frequently. Texas, right? A 10-pounder in Texas anymore is a small fish, I feel like, from what I see online. But down here, it's like the amount of 4 to 7 pounders is unreal. And but what it comes down to it is those great fisheries all over the country that there's only like a 4 month season where people are fishing for them or this or that. These fish get fished for 365 days a year, every day, all day, and they are smart and they're very difficult to catch, and you could do something so minutely wrong, and wrong's not even the word, off or different, and you will not get bit. And it's something that like I notice as a guide more than anything, because I live here, I fish here and here only for the most part. I fish Lake Okeechobee, and I get great fishermen from all over the country that fish professionally, fish the Bassmaster Opens, fish the FLW Tour for stretches, and they'll come down here and like, depending on like what bait they're throwing, I'll watch them, and it's almost like I'll be like, oh, I've never seen someone work that bait like that. You know what I mean? And then before I know it, it's an hour and a half into the trip and they haven't had a bite. And like I'll pick up a rod with the same bait and throw it out there 5 times and get bit. And what I realize is it's like, oh, like these fish, like a frog, for instance. It's like I get guys out here that pick up a popping frog and they throw it out and they just barely move that rod tip and make it. They walk it back to the boat and it looks great. And I'm like, man, that's gonna get. But that's not how our fish like the frog. It's that blue that it's that big boil, that big blue profile, and the pause that gets the strike. A lot of times, it's all about how the frog pops, which is why this one, the Spro, is the most popular. It's probably the worst made, and your hookup ratio isn't great, but this one pops right, and it's, you know what I mean. Like there's little things people do different. Um, Shaking a swim jig everywhere throughout the country, everyone reels and shakes that swim jig, and not that you won't get bit doing that, but you're going to get more bites just throwing the dang thing out and just turning the handle. Um, what you're throwing at, like there's so many times where I'm guiding people, and I'm not going to tell you what to do unless you ask a lot of times, but I'm watching and they're throwing at everything but what they should be throwing at. But the reason I think they should be throwing, because I know what these fish like and I know where they should be sitting. But it's amazing, like when I'll be like, hey, throw it right there, and they'll be like, to that? They'll live on that? And yeah, that's what they're living on right now. But they don't throw to it because it's not appealing to them, because where they're from, the fish don't live on that, or they don't set up in that. And that's what's helped me, like something that guiding's helped me. It's like, man, like they're really, these fish are very particular. They're very specific. They're very and they're very moody. If our water temperature drops 2 degrees overnight, and this is no exaggeration, it affects them a lot. And a lot of people think that's an exaggeration, but it is not. They are finicky. They are, Florida bass in general are just, they could be the most aggressive fish on the planet. They can be very fickle. And these fish are smart. And it's like, man, you got to do the little things right to have great success on this lake. And that's why I think a lot of people struggle here, and not just clients of mine or people that come down here. I mean, the reason a lot of my clients, I mean, you guys just heard me say it, I have great fishermen, but this lake kicks their ass when they come down. They're like, why? What am I doing wrong? And that's why I get so many bookings. There's a lot of customers like that. Like, what am I doing wrong? And a lot of times it's like you're not doing anything necessarily wrong at all. It's just you got to do the tiny little things right to catch them out here. And again, I'm not the best fisherman on this lake. There are people that understand these fish far better than I ever will. But that's part of the game. It's just learning these fish. And I'm, like the same difference. If I went to your home water, I'm going to suck it up, because this is really all I know. But yeah, so the fishing's great here. It is a great lake. But I don't want anyone to think that you're coming down here and it's just going to be home run from start to finish, because it's not like that. I mean, there are those days, right? There are those days where the stars align and you can't do anything wrong. Especially like right now, the way the lake's set up and everything, you got to do the little things right to get bit. And but I feel like that's almost anywhere. And that kind of leads us in here to these invitationals that are coming down. So I made some little notes here. So here's the deal. I'm going to give you as kind of like a little preview as to what's probably going to happen. So there's 150 boats in this thing. I was texting Matt. Not about information. I haven't really even been talking to him. He's out practicing. I don't want to accidentally slip up and say something, so we've been not talking. But I asked him how many boats were in it. It's 150 boats. And so I looked at the weather. So I think the tournament is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They practice tomorrow and Tuesdays. They had Saturday, Sunday, and tomorrow being Monday to practice. Tuesday's an off day. The tournament's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So on Wednesday, it's showing an east wind at 10 mile an hour, which means 15, maybe 20, and 80-degree temperatures. Go to Thursday. Thursday, it says southeast at 12, which means 18, at 81 degrees. And then Friday, Championship Friday, it's showing south at 10, which with a south wind probably means 10, 85 degrees. Okay, so that's great and all. That's awesome. But with Okeechobee, you got to look at what the conditions have been. So it was warm, and it's still warm out there. This was actually, like I said, I canceled Saturday due to wind, and today basically canceled for it as well. And we had northwest, northeast winds, heavy. It was almost a cold front without the cold, if that makes sense. We just got all the rain and the nastiness. So it's been blowing out of the north for 2 days. And I think tomorrow it's supposed to be out of the east also, which meaning Monday. So I think the next 3 days it's supposed to be out of the east. So what's that mean? Look at the west side of the lake. This is primarily where all the fishing's done. And it's going to mess up a lot of this water. It's going to mess up a lot because the lake's so high. But here, it's the lake's going to fish very small, I think. Again, it's going to fish extra small with this tournament. Smaller than it's been, because here's the deal. It's been like local derbies, right? So all of us locals, like we know all the little ins and outs, and there's some people that will go try over here for a little while and try all this little stuff. But a lot of these guys are from out of town. They don't know any of that stuff. So they're gonna crowd up in the community holes. And but the conditions, I'm guessing these fish are gonna get on the bed. There's always like I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff coming up, not just for this, but for the elites and everything, and which we'll get into. But there's 2 months out of the year these fish do not spawn. And I shouldn't even say they do not spawn, but it's very unlikely that there's going to be any spawners. And that's August, you know, July and August. But really from like September on, there's going to be, it's almost like a trickle of spawners. See what I'm saying? Like the conditions are going to get right and some fish are going to be on the, some fish are going to be on the bed. On Okeechobee, I really don't think there's ever a time where there's a mass of spawners that move in. At least I haven't seen it myself in a couple of years. It's just been always like there's just got to assume there's always, when the conditions are right, there's going to be some fish up on the bed. And this is looking pretty good if you can find the right protected areas. So, man, but with that east wind, it's really going to be cranking. I think 60 pounds is going to get it done. Now, what's different is I think there's going to be a couple of people. I think there's going to be like 5 people right around that 60-pound mark. And I could be way off. It might take 90 pounds. But right now, sitting here thinking about it, talking to you guys, I think 60 pounds, and I guess when I say 60, it might be 62, might be 61, it might be 59. But I think there's going to be 6 or 7 boats right that are in contention. And what's funny is I think like it's going to be broken up into like 2, 2, and 3, or 2, 2, and 2, where there's going to be like these 2 guys are fishing around each other doing this thing, these 2 guys are fishing around each other doing this thing, and these 2 guys are doing, because just the way the lake's setting up, I think you're going to have, you know, yeah, there's going to be a lot of different factors, I think, in this tournament. The canals, right? There's been a lot of talk about the forward-facing sonar and the electronics. Again, these are not, a lot of these guys aren't locals. So they're going to approach this lake with just a clear head. Someone, I wouldn't surprise me if someone wins it or gets close to winning it out of the damn rim canal. Marking some fish down deep, pre-spawn fish feeding up on shad, finding them on the rocks, or even finding them spawning on the bank in the ditch. I think there's going to be a couple people that do well in this event doing that. Just the residential canals, the J&S Canal, Taylor Creek, all that kind of stuff. Because you look at when the elites are here, or when Major League Fishing was here, people catch them in those canals all the time. I mean, there's giant fish in there. And I think someone's going to roll through there in practice, especially the way this weather's been, right? You just heard me say I canceled 2 trips due to weather. That's protected. So I'm sure a lot of people went in there practicing, rain suited up, and just I'm sure they got some big bites because it was fishy the past 2 days. Someone's going to go into those canals, and they're going to either catch them on a bed, they're going to catch them on a top water, like a devil's horse or something, or they might find some little deep water deals dragging a Carolina rig or something. I do see that. And then I think, people are going to obviously catch them on the lake. And here's one thing that's funny. I don't think it's going to be, if you're flipping is not going to win this tournament. Now, what I mean by that is like flipping reed heads, flipping the outside grass, blind flipping in the Kissimmee grass fields, punching. I don't think that's going to play at all. A big reason I think that, and not saying because I'm better than these guys, but I seek that bite out. That is what I like to do, tournament-wise or not. Tournament-wise, I'm going to seek out whatever bite I need to seek out. But when I go fun fishing, there's days that I leave the house with 3 flipping rods in the boat, and that's it. And if I don't catch any, that's great. And I cannot get bit. Now, there's a difference. Blind flipping beds is a different deal. So I really think there's going to be fish that are going to obviously be up on the bed. They're going to be spawning next to isolated cattails, isolated buggy whips, little single, two, three stalks, that kind of deal, pad stems. Now, flipping a beaver style bait or even a Senko style bait to that, yes, that's different. That I think is going to play. But those are spawning fish. I mean, fish that are staging or even post or pre, post spawn, um, maybe a little bit more out towards the main lake. That's not going to happen. I shouldn't say it's not going to happen. It could definitely happen, but I don't see it happening. Um, with it being warm, if someone can find an area and take the time to milk that popping frog, I see that being a big thing. Um, maybe we'll see. I could definitely see that being a winner if the water temperature gets right. A vibrating jig or a chatterbait. Another reason I see that playing is for a couple reasons. One, it's been a great bait, and the way the lake's been setting up the past couple of years, we've been catching a lot of spawning fish on chatterbaits. You guys have been following my channel. You know that we've been doing a lot of damage on that. But not only just for that, that's a real, and you guys have seen it, it's a very specific thing that we're throwing at in a way that we're retrieving the bait to get bit. Because, traditionally you're reeling it through hydrilla, snatching it out of eelgrass. And that way works awesome too. That's what I prefer to do with a chatterbait. But lately it's been a great tool in my arsenal. You guys saw me and Kelly had caught some key fish uh, on that bait in the Rollins tournament, and there wasn't any submerged grass anywhere around. Essentially, what we were doing, we were using it to cover water and trying to run it into any type of debris or garbage on the bottom that we could. That I think these fish were either A, holding on, or B, trying to spawn on. Fishing dirtier water situations so that vibration, they can find the bait easier, and you're almost trying to get it hung, and it just deflects off of it right, and they've been eating it, and your landing ratio is really high on that bait also. So it's just a great bait already. Um, and like I said, there are areas you can rip it out of hydrilla right now and out of eelgrass, and if people find that, that's great. And it's also a good way to cover water, right? If you're new to a lake and you're just trying to cover water and see different things, you could put 3 different colored chatterbaits on 3 different rods, and you can go fishing for the day. You can cover water. You can fish it fast. You can fish it slow. You can fish it a lot of different ways, and it's very efficient. And you're going to get bit. So a lot of people are going to pick that up in practice, and it's a big fish catcher too for getting that big bite. So I could see someone who's new, never been here, picking those baits up, covering water, and before you know it, in practice, especially the past couple of days with it being super windy, they're going to get bit, catch a couple big ones, have confidence in it, and they're just going to ride that wave through the tournament. Also, Brett Height himself is fishing this tournament. I don't think he knows how to do anything but throw a chatterbait. I'm kidding. But obviously I'm joking. He's one of the best out there, but he's the best chatterbait fisherman out there also. So if anyone's going to find it, it's going to be him. So I see that. I just kind of made some notes here. But yeah, I'm going to say 60 pounds. And so like I was going to say, that might mean 3 20-pound bags. That might mean a 32-pound bag and 2 smaller bags. And I think it's a 3-day event. If it's a 4-day event, I'll say 75 to 80 pounds. But I think it's a 3-day event. Is it? Maybe it's 4. Well, I think it's 3. I think they're only doing 3 days this year. If it's 4, I'll say 78 to 80 pounds. But same thing. Everything's going to hold true. Yeah, I'm hoping it's more. I hope the lake shows out, but it is what it is. But it's going to be cool just to see how different people approach. Here's what happens. Us locals get so fixated on what we do here. And then every time a big event comes with out-of-towners, either someone wins it or does very well in the event doing something totally crazy to us, and it works out. And that's what's going to happen here. No different. Someone's going to catch them doing some oddball stuff. But like I said, like the Kissimmee River, someone's going to find them in the river. Someone's going to, and it's just getting those big bites and getting them to the boat, obviously. But I see that playing. I haven't talked to Matt. I know Val from Gamblers fishing it, Val Lozinski. So, I mean, between Matt, I'm trying to think of anyone else that I know. Jared, I think Jared McMillan's fishing it. Um, those are literally three right there. Those are three of the best fishermen on Okeechobee. So I'm just going to go with those three are my top three picks to win. Not just because I'm friends with all of them, but I mean, I don't know. But there's no telling. I mean, the lake's fishing just so funky right now. Um, there's no telling. But um, real quick, we'll kind of go into the elite thing too. Before we get into it, hold on real quick. I am getting congested up. I need to take some NyQuil and go to bed. I was listening to a podcast Ronnie Moore did with Greg Hackney just recently, and they were basically talking about the upcoming tournament coming up here in Okeechobee and why I think he does well. There's a reason that guy is the man on the water. Talking about Greg Hackney. He doesn't live here. Does he do good here? Yes. Does he come down here often? Yes. Obviously, he's been on tour for 25 years. But there were things he was talking about Lake Okeechobee itself in that podcast that a lot of these locals don't even know and don't even think like him. And he was just like nailing it. And no offense to Ronnie, I consider him a buddy, right? Um, and there was another gentleman on there, I think named Kyle, but they were talking about like what he looks for, and they would even mention it. They would mention something like I remember Ronnie said something about like you find a beautiful mat. Some of the mats don't have bait under them or don't have any life around them, and then these mats do. And Hackney straight up said, "Well, I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to mat fishing, bait means nothing. Those fish aren't under there to eat. They're under there to kind of hang out and stage and just little things like that." It's like, yeah, that's 100% right. I mean, obviously, if there's bait under there, is that great? Yeah, but what do I always tell you guys when you're flipping? Unless you're there, there's different situations. Like with a jig, a lot of times, if you're like that tournament me and Breezy won, flipping that jig. That we won that tournament off of one reed head, and there was bluegill bedding in the reeds, right? And those bass were up there post spawn, up there to feed on those bluegill, and that jig was imitating those bluegill. There's other times where you're flipping cattail heads, and things like that, where that bass is in there just to hang out. He's not in there really necessarily to eat. He's in there to hunker down because he's lethargic, to chill out, to hide. He's just in his house. He's in his living room. So there might be bait and stuff, but that's not why he's in that head. He's in there just to chill out, and he's an opportunistic feeder. So if you drop a plastic on his nose, his instinct and is to react and eat it. And it was just crazy, just like hearing Hackney talk about that. Yeah, but the mat fish, they're under there to get warm. They're in there to stage. They're not really there for the bait. And it's true. And just so many other things. He was talking about the lake itself, its history. That guy's dialed in. I mean, he's my favorite pro, without a doubt. But more on that. Just talk about them coming. He was going back and forth. And my weather app, although it's not the best one ever, but I scrolled to Sunday, which is the day they start practice. There is a cold front coming. The Sunday they start practice, supposed to be a high of 68 and a low of 48 in a north wind. So north at 15, which if it's a north, that means 20 to 25. Now I don't know what it's going to mean following that. If it starts to gradually warm right back up, it might be really good. It might be tough. So I'll probably do another one of these right before the Elite Series take off with my predictions of what I think is going to happen and who I think you should watch for and things like that. Because, like I just said, my customer for a couple of weeks, I'd tell him, like, man, it's been different every day. And it always is like that down here, but more than regular right now. It's just been day by day. You got to take it and assess it when you get out there and start from scratch. So The elite guys are going to catch them, but these invitational guys are going to catch them too. Trying to think. We're not even in an hour yet, and I'm already kind of out of stuff to talk about. Real quick before I forget, this Saturday, the 11th, Saturday the 11th, from 9 to 3, Mike Kraus at Okeechobee Fishing Headquarters is doing his Customer Appreciation Day. I have to work a morning trip, but then I will be there after. Mike Kraus he's the man. He is the president of Lake Okeechobee. He helps out so much with everything that goes on around this lake for the benefits of this lake, for all of you anglers, right? He's the man. Definitely come out, support his shop. The new place next door, Lake and Trail, they're having Meet the Pros, and they're kind of shafting Mike. They were having like the Meet the Pro thing and stuff because I'm not going to really get into it, and I don't want to slander anybody or anything, but the guy's owns a bunch of the big fishing companies in the industry, and his pros are they're entitled to be there for him, and they saw him. So anyway, there's going to be kind of two different things going on. Next door, the Lake and Trail place, they're going to have pros there. Mike's going to have pros. I spend my money with Mike. I think you guys should too. Definitely go and support his business, because when you come down and your Minn Kota trolling motor breaks, your power pole, you have issues electronically or something, I mean, Mike's going to do whatever he can to help you out if he's able. So definitely support him, and I'll be there. I mean, if you guys want to come by and talk fishing, I'll be there just to hang out and shoot the shit with everybody. The more popular my channel gets, and like I said, I'm not a big shot or anything, but the bigger the channel gets, the more people I do have coming up and approaching me at boat ramps and just saying they love the videos and stuff. And I really mean it when I say it. It means a lot. I appreciate all the kind words and everything. And I feel like there's some people lately that I maybe have kind of not shrugged off. That's not what I've done. I hope I haven't, but I've kind of cut short. Here's my problem. I will sit there and talk to anybody, anytime, for as long as you can imagine about fishing. That's what I love to do. Hence why I'm sitting here talking to a camera by myself. But when I get off the water, or when I'm getting on the water, there are times where it's like, all right, I've been gone since 5 a.m. I got to be back at this ramp at 6 a.m. And I've got a wife and a kid at home who needs to be on a schedule. And, my wife's waiting on me to make dinner. She cooked dinner. I got to get home. And, and there's days I'm off the water at noon, but I've got to go to the Tractor Supply or the feed store, and I got to pick up feed for the cows, or I got to go pick up something to fix a fence, or I got to go do this. Like, I'm constantly rolling, and there's times where I can't sit there and like talk to you as long as I'd like to. In the mornings, I have a lot of people that'll come up to me and, while I'm unhooking the boat and talk, and that's fine. And there's sometimes they want to talk for 30 minutes, but my customers who are paying me for the day are standing at the ramp waiting to go. Like, I don't want to cut you off, but you're cutting into their time now. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's their time. That's my customer's time. I got to go. So just keep that in mind, and it's funny, man. Like, I get to meet a lot of people throughout the industry and a lot of people from all over the country. And people always talk about pros, like, oh yeah, he's from my hometown. He's an asshole. And then the next guy will be like, oh yeah, I grew up with him. He's a really nice guy. And it's one of those things where you never know what to believe. And like I said, I'm not on those people's level, not even close. These Elite Series pros and things. But there's a lot of people that watch my videos that are coming down here. Maybe they're just Joe Schmo coming down from Arkansas. And hey, man, I watch your videos. You do a good job on those. Thank you so much. I appreciate you watching. And it's like they want to keep talking, and I want to keep talking to you. Trust me, I do. But when my person from Kentucky who has booked me for 4 days is on the ramp waiting to go, like I got to take him fishing. So I think there might be some times where I don't want to feel like I'm blowing you guys off, but you got to understand, like I got to go to work. I guess I am just going fishing, but that's my job. And this customer is spending their hard-earned money paying me to take them fishing. So I got to go, and I got to kind of tend towards them because they're my customer for the day or for that week. So don't ever think I'm trying to blow you guys off or anything. I wish I could sit there and talk to you guys and for for as long as I could, but I got things I got to do at home. I got to get home, and I got to get these people on the water also. And what I mean by that is, I feel like a lot of times pros get a bad rap, and I tell my customers this. They're like, "Oh yeah, I know him, but he's an ass." I tried to talk to him one day, and he just feel like he didn't have time for me, and he put his boat in the water and went fishing. And what you guys got to remember is, you're just going fishing. I'm just going fishing. But those elite, that's their job. They're going to work. They're not just going fishing. They're going to work. Maybe they're going to film. They have sponsor obligations, right? Maybe Strike King told this pro, "Hey man, we need a swim jig video from you, promoting this new swim jig." And he said, "Well, I'm on a shad spawn bite. I'll go film." And we all know shad spawn ends like 15 minutes after the sun comes up. So he's in a rush trying to get out there to get this. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. There's a time and a place. So that's why I always say, like, I never know who to believe, who's a jerk in the industry and who's not. I think most of them are all good guys. It's just a time and a place. So if you want to come and sit and talk fishing, I will be there Saturday at some point. I'll be more than happy to sit and answer any questions you guys have. And I'm not telling you guys to not come up and approach me at the boat ramps or anything like that at all. I want you to, but just keep in mind, like I hate it. Like if I get done with someone or like someone and I say, "Hey man, it was nice meeting you, but I got to go." I hate that, but I got to get home or, or I got to get on the water. And I was like, man, I hope that guy doesn't think I'm an ass because he wanted to talk and I kind of had to tell him that I can't, I got to get out of here. And maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe that person just thinks, no, I get it. He had to leave. But just know if I'm ever in a rush, like I'm not blowing you off. Um, I just got somewhere to be or I got something else to do or I got to go. But yeah, if you guys want to come hang out, there'll be me. I don't know who else is going to be there. I think Brandon McMillan's going to be there. A lot of the ARC guys will be there. I don't know who else. There'll be a bunch of people there, though. And Mike's a good guy. I think he's going to have some food and stuff like that. So that's Saturday, the 11th. This next Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, the 11th. Okeechobee Fishing Headquarters Customer Appreciation Day. Besides that, I think I'm good. I think that's about it. If you've been trying to get a hold of me, again, going back to that. So I don't think I really touched on this, so I'm going to right now. My wife will vouch for me. I am the worst multitasker in the entire world. I cannot do it. If you were trying to get a hold of me, shoot me a text message. My gentleman I just talked to on the phone for like the 20th of February. Took me 3 days to call him back. He said, "Can you give me a call when you can?" I said, "Yes." It was like 3 days. Because I cannot be distracted with anything else when it comes to my job. Double book. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again, though. Double booking, messing up your trip is my worst fear in life. I literally have a nightmare about it once a week that I did. So if you want to get a hold of me, texting is best because it's in front of me and I have it. It's like a written record. See what I'm saying? I can answer questions for you. But I'm not always in a spot where I can talk on the phone. Got a 9-month-old here. He's yelling, getting into everything. He's crawling now. Can't take my eyes off of him. And when he goes to bed, I'm pretty much in bed, man. Like I'm an early bird now. So shoot me a text message. If I tell you I'll give you a call, I will, but it might be a day or two. And that I hate that I'm like that, but I am. I can't answer the phone and you be like, "Oh yeah, do you have this date available?" And I say, "Yep, I'll get you down. I can hang up on you and I know when I get home I can put you down." That's not how I am. I know I'm going to totally forget. And then your date's going to come and you're going to say, "Where are we meeting in the morning?" I'm going to say, "We're not. I don't have you in the book. You already booked flights. You're down here. You got a hotel room." It's a mess. So I need to wait until I specifically sit down with my book and to talk about trips and flights and hotels and all that. So I am a pain to get a hold of that way. Shoot me a text message. Texting. It helps for both. It's written record. I have it just in case. Like I had a gentleman the other day. I think, and I might have said this in another podcast already. He wanted the 31st or something, but he thought he had the 29th and he got mad and it was in his text. It said the 31st. So it kind of covers me also if you're asking for something. But shoot me a text to get a hold of me. It's the easiest way. I'm just telling you. I'm not saying it's the right way to be what I am, but I don't have a booking agent. I don't have, Breezy's not booking my trips for me. A lot of other guides, they either A, work for a marina, so they don't know who they're taking. You call the marina and they put you with him. They take care of all that. Some people hire assistants to do all their booking. Some people work through a website and an app. Some people they I don't do that. I don't do that. So it's all on me. That means the mistakes are on me too. So I do everything in my power to prevent those mistakes from happening. Sometimes it costs me trips because people call me and I don't answer and they say I already got to someone else. I'd rather you have a successful trip and go fishing with someone and have it locked in than me rush at something and mess up your whole trip and double book and now we got a mess. So shoot me a text. Best way to get me. If you can't tell, I'm congested and sound like garbage. So I'm going to take some NyQuil and I'm going to bed. So appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate the kind words. Don't know if there's going to be another fishing video for a little bit. We'll see. Maybe I could sneak out and do something. But at the very least, my next video will be another one of these podcasts right before the Elite Series start. We'll talk about what I foresee happening with that. So, like and subscribe. Tell your friends and family. Appreciate all the kind words and all of you that have been booking trips with me. And I apologize again for being a pain in the ass to get a hold of. So, I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. Tight lines.